lied to. Your history has been altered. Your brainwaves have been tampered with. You have been indoctrinated. You always knew something was wrong. The truth will set you free. Buckle up. Strap on your tinfoil hat. Open your ears. Open your mind. Open the curtains of conspiracy.
Welcome. This is going to be the 5th episode of Curtains of Conspiracy. I'm one of 2 hosts. My name is Nathan Gibson.
And I am Erik Zimmerman.
And welcome to the show. As we talked about last episode, we're going to be talking about the Mandela Effect. Which is basically, we're going to get in, there's a lot of theories, I believe, that could possibly explain this phenomenon, where millions of people remember things differently. Some things affect different people, so some of these things you're going to maybe not remember the change or not have noticed or remember it the way it is now or what have you. But this isn't a situation where companies change their names or they re-edited a movie, a classic movie, to be different. That's something entirely. What we're going to be discussing today is things that have permanently changed. In other words, if you were to go back and get your original VHS of Star Wars and put it in, the one you watched as a kid, the exact copy of it, and you pull it out of your attic or your basement and you pop it in, now it will say something different, different than what you remembered. So this isn't a case of companies changing names or changing logos. This is a case of it's always been that way. Your memories be damned.
And it seems to be deemed a case of collective false memory,
right?
By those in charge. So what that means, broken down even in a more simplistic form than the actual term itself, is that everyone that remembers something being one way, and this isn't everyone like you and everyone that you know. This is you and everyone that you know, and everyone across the planet that remembers something specifically being one way is having a lapse of memory and creating a false memory in their minds, and we're all having the same false memory on several different topics, probably hundreds, if not thousands of different things. There's a lot of them that are out right now that are being talked about. Who knows what's yet to come? It seems that there are more and more on a daily basis, Nate.
Yeah, definitely, and the list is growing, and some of these changes, I gotta say, have happened recently. Some of them I can kind of remember. I just thought that they had changed them, normal style, as I noticed the changes. It wasn't until this became a phenomenon that I started realizing not just all these changes happened one day. It's like they're slowly continuing to change.
Right.
So it's not just like on February 22nd, 2004, all these changes just happened. It's almost like things are changing.
Right. Nate, I guess maybe we should kick it off with how the theory gets its namesake.
Sure, yeah, let's talk about that, because it is called the Mandela Effect, and of course that would be based off of Nelson Mandela. Me, personally, I'm not sure. I vaguely feel like this could have happened, and I was just so young, maybe. But you know what? He went to prison for a while, and I think that could be what messed up my memory on it. Mm-hmm. But basically, it's that people remember that he died while he was in prison in the 80s.
Back in the 80s, yeah. I'm right there with you on this one, man. I don't. This is probably the reason that it took me so long to really start researching this topic, because I had a very vague idea of who Nelson Mandela was from the get-go, so it didn't really reach out and grasp me,
right.
Right. And that was the first point, and pretty much the only point that I remember hearing about right when this first came to light. And it was one of those things where I just wrote it off. I was like, oh man, I don't really know one way or the other. I can't say one way or the other. So I'm not going to invest too much time into it.
Yeah.
And what I was going to say is several years later, or really not even several, just a few years later, more started turning up.
Right. We're not even going to necessarily do these in the order that they cropped up, because it gets kind of confusing. But you know what? I do want to go ahead and start it with the one that really blew my mind the most. And that was, as a kid, I read a lot of, as most kids did around the 80s, 90s era. As a child, I kind of read a lot of the Bernstein Bear books. And, I was kind of a fan, you know what I'm saying? Like, a little embarrassing, I guess, but I was a fan. I loved me some Bernstein Bears. We had a full collection, basically a bookshelf in our room that was just filled with them, and read them a lot. But the reason this one struck me so largely, first of all, it was Bernstein. It was with an E, Bernstein. Well, the E now, Steen, is now an A, so now it's the Bernstein Bears.
Right.
How do you feel about that one? What is it?
I remember it just like you do. I will say that it was probably a little bit out of my time frame. It wasn't the most common book, but I remember seeing them in the library at school. I remember we had copies at the house, and this is one that I even reached back because I'm pretty sure that this particular publication has been out for quite a while, because I actually spoke with my mother about it, and she remembers it as what you do. And that's what I remember it as well. I think a lot of the books that we had around the house were actually hers from when she was a kid. And I remember looking at them and specifically thinking, I remember it being spelt with that E, man.
Yeah, me too. And why this one feels personal, like a personal attack on my memories. I was probably in the first grade. Yeah, I was in the first grade because I remember the teacher. So as my first grade teacher, I probably didn't bring the book. They probably just had it at school. But in any case, it was a Bernstein Bear book. And because of the E and the I, and I was young, I wasn't sure if I was pronouncing it wrong, if it was actually Bernstein. Okay? The reason I was beginning to get a little bit confused if I was pronouncing things correctly was because the NES was out and it was new, and I've been calling it the Mario Brothers, okay? And when I found out it was Mario, I started kind of questioning how I was pronouncing things, and I was always embarrassed.
Yeah, I really understand this language that I'm attempting to speak.
Right. And I was always embarrassed when I would say things wrong. Like, for example, I read a lot, and I thought the word debris was pronounced debris, because I knew what the word meant. I read it a lot. I'd never used the word. And I was really embarrassed when I used it, speaking, and said debris and got laughed at, So I was very curious to make sure I was pronouncing things correctly. So I remember I brought the book to my first grade teacher and said, how is this pronounced? She said it was German, therefore it's you do the E. It's Bernstein, Steen. And later in life, I remember rethinking about that because of read Goosebumps a few years later, and R.L. Stein.
R.L. Stein.
Right, but now there's no E in that, with a silent E at the end. But still, there's another memory trigger for me that I remember thinking Steen and Stein when I was reading Goosebumps. So it's almost a personal attack on my childhood that has changed. That's the way I feel.
And one of the things that I do remember is, I remember we used to have, I forget what it was called. It was once a year we had it at the school where they brought in all these books, all the new children's books, and it was like a book fair, I guess.
Right.
And, I remember looking at it, and there was a girl in my grade, and I may or may not have had a crush on her. This was very, very early on. This was like probably 3rd, 4th grade. And her last name was Steen. And I remember thinking, like, Berenstein,
Right,
it was spelled the same way as her last name.
And you wouldn't have thought that had it been Stain.
That's it. There was a reason that I drew that correlation. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I had a crush on this girl, and I knew how her name was spelt, and it was spelt the same exact way.
Yep. So that's a really interesting one. I think that one's going to hit home for a lot of people. But moving on. All right. Now, once again, this is before my time, but you got the Village People. Okay, everybody knows the Village People. At least a couple.
Who are the Village People? You're a little bit older than me, so you probably remember it a little bit better than I do. What did
YMCA?
The YMCA. There you go.
Yeah. And they got more hits than that, but I think that would be the most common one. But they were known for dressing up.
The YMCA.
Right. Well, there was 5 of them. People remember. Me, I'm not sure, but there was 5 of them, and now there's 6. You got the guy who dresses up as a Native American. You got the guy that dresses up like a cowboy. You got the energy, like a electrician, and then you've got like a police officer, and then you got like a biker gang guy. And now The addition that nobody remembers is the military guy, dressed up in a like green military type suit. So a lot of people say that he's appeared out of nowhere. Don't know. That one doesn't strike me very well. How about you?
Yeah, man, I don't really. I know the song. I know the dance. I know the hand gestures. YMCA. But I tell you what, way more so than that, one that really just completely messed my head up, Nate, was the Queen song.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that one just kind of like destroyed me because I'm a huge Queen fan.
Oh, me too.
I love Queen. I absolutely love them. And my mom and my dad were both huge Queen fans. So, like, road trips, man, growing up every year, we went to Florida for vacation. And, my dad worked offshore. So every couple weeks we had to drive him like an hour and a half away and then an hour and a half back. And they were just blasting some good old tunes. You know what I mean? My parents are the reason that I found out about what I consider some of the greatest music that I know about.
Right.
And Queen was just one of the many. And I remember countless times with my brothers, with my parents, hitting that last line.
Yeah.
No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions. Then bump, 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 and Freddie Mercury of the world.
Yes,
dude,
yes.
And
it's gone. Like it never, like he didn't do it,
For
and
me,
there was no music. The music, bum, 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 and then just him.
Of the world. God.
With Fred Mercury's awesome, just, opera, beautiful voice, haunting. That is a haunting memory that I know is real, and that has changed fairly recently because I make sure my kids listen to good music because unfortunately there's not a lot of that left. So I forced my children when they were young, and still today it kind of holds up. They listen to good stuff. They listen to Queen. They listen to Michael Jackson. They listen to some good, actual, awesome music. But Queen is one of them, and I've rocked out with them with Queen, and it was of the world still, and that was just, 4 or 5 years ago.
Just recently, yeah, man. And that's the thing about this. It's just constantly changing. I mean, it's like we're just constantly adding to the pile, and. Dude, if that's not evidence that something's going on, I don't know what is, man. I can give you a couple of more that just really hit home with me, man. I grew up in probably the first generation of Pokemon.
Yeah.
It was right when it came to America. My older brother was kind of involved with it a little bit, but he was almost too old to be, but it really kind of kickstarted me into the trend. I hate to say it, man, but Pokemon cards are what taught me to lie, steal, and cheat. Okay? Like,
Right.
I was... I forgive my parents for this, but I was raised Catholic. And we went to church every Sunday, and I was a good kid, man, and I did what I thought was right, and but Pokemon cards, man, boy, did they affect my life,
And real quick, I want to throw in that anybody who was under the age of 18, and it doesn't just limit that, but everybody who is at least under the age of 18 when Pokemon fever began was affected by Pokemon in some way. I mean, it was huge. You could not escape it even if you did hate it,
Yeah, I mean, even if you didn't admit to it, you still had the cards, what I mean? Like, you'd go to school and make fun of people and then go home and, like, buy a pack. And I still remember the rush that I used to get from buying a booster pack and opening it up and... you flip through all the common cards first, and you're getting to like the mid levels, and then where's the holographic card? Did I get one? There it is. Talk about a rush, man.
So what changed with Pokemon? What's the Mandela effect?
Man, well, so far, because it's like we said, man, things are changing every day, man. There's no telling, man. Tomorrow, somebody's gonna tell me that Charizard was never a Pokemon, that his name was Charizard or something,
Right.
It's gonna just renounce my faith in humanity. So Pikachu, Pikachu was like the staple in the
Right.
Pokemon community. He was Ash's first Pokemon. It doesn't matter whether you played the card game, or you collected the cards, or you watched the TV show. You know, I remember Pikachu having a black tip on his tail.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Having a black tip on his tail. Now, apparently, he never did. It's always been like light brown at the base to just yellow at the end. And dude, I'm really, honestly, I think I have some Pokemon cards somewhere around here. I'm not going to dig them out, but it's just ridiculous, man. I looked at those cards every single day. That was the highlight of my day. I got home from school and I just flipped through my binder and admired my cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the thing about Pokemon is that the ones that you're going to recognize all of them, even probably today. At least the ones from those generations of when you were into it. You may struggle to remember their names sometimes, but the staple ones, the main ones, they were a big deal. And since you had to look at that same picture, now even if you played the video games, okay, and you didn't play the cards, it's still a game where there's not a whole lot of motion. You know, you're looking at this same static image over and over and over again.
Over and over and over and over. And you're right, I completely left that out, man. I played the video games as well. God.
So that changed, and that was not too long ago, because my kids are into Pokemon, and my daughter has a Pikachu. That's her favorite one. She has a doll of Pikachu, and when I seen it, I was like, no. You know, my daughter has a doll of this at home. When I get home, I'm gonna get this doll, and it's gonna have a black tip on it. I remember her doll she sleeps with and carries around with her everywhere has a tip that's black on its tail. And I got home, nope, gone. So this is a fairly recent change. That happened.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, I played the games, I collected the cards. I had a fucking Pikachu doll, pardon my language, but I did. I hate to admit that, but I did, you know, and that was a tremendous part of my life, you know, until puberty hit.
Definitely.
But, you know, something that's equally disturbing to me, because this was also a tremendous part of my life. I played the games. I watched the movies religiously. I had the figurines. I had, let me go ahead and tell you what I'm talking about. Star Wars, man.
Oh, heck yeah.
You know,
oh, heck yeah.
I had a C-3PO Star Wars figurine carrying case.
Okay.
That you press the little button on his mouth and it said C-3PO quotes, you know, like, hello, my name is C-3PO, human cyborgs relations.
Right.
You know,
Right.
there was a couple other phrases that he would say, and you opened it up and you could fit the actual Star Wars figurines, and I was huge, man. I've been a Star Wars fan since the first day. I remember the first time I saw it. I remember where I was. I remember who I was with. I was probably 6 years old. I was with my best friend at the time, Elliot. It's funny because I'm actually engaged to his sister.
Wow, okay.
But, you know, we were at their aunt's house, and she was, you know, she wasn't trying to deal with these two little 6-7-year-olds, so she fucking put on Star Wars. And I remember the first time I was just enthralled, man, and that was it.
Yeah.
And you know, I started collecting the figurines, man. I watched the movies over and over and over and over. And you know, the first conspiracy I heard about Star Wars was that C-3PO isn't completely gold. And so, like, at first I was like, no, that's bullshit. He totally was. And then I kind of went back, and because you know how I am, Nate. I'm definitely a skeptic when it comes to certain things. Yeah. At least at first, you know, I have to see some substantial evidence before I can really buy into anything. And so I'm thinking to myself, and I'm like, well, you know, maybe I just always watch Star Wars on a shitty, grainy television, you know.
Right,
I mean, the TVs that me and you grew up watching weren't the best quality. We didn't have 4K back then, you know.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, maybe parts of him could have been silver, and I didn't catch that because the TV was just so horrible.
Right.
And then the next Star Wars issue occurred, and it was the Luke, I am your father.
Now this one drives me crazy because there's actual evidence to support that even James Earl Jones, that's what he remembers. He is the voice of Darth Vader. And he's repeatedly, because that's the big, famous line, because of the significance of that line in the movie, he says it on talk shows and everything, and he says, Luke, I am your father.
God.
And we've all said it, and it's been, pop culture and The Simpsons and everything.
And what kind of upsets me is I had a friend one time say, dude, no, look, you're just remembering what the actor, he's dead now, come on, Tommy.
Oh, Chris Farley.
They said you're just remembering Chris Farley's line from Tommy Boy, man, because he says that into the fan, Luke, I am your father.
Right.
I have seen the original Star Wars trilogy probably 100 times.
Yeah, me too. I mean,
no exaggeration. Dude, I literally used to watch it every day as a little kid.
Yeah.
One of the movies every day. And I've seen Tommy Boy probably 10 times. It's a funny movie, so probably about 10 times. But there's no way that I could be remembering specifically the line from Tommy Boy instead of the line from the actual Star Wars movie.
Yeah, like Tommy Boy wouldn't eclipse the memories of Star Wars. I mean, Tommy Boy's great. Great movie, hilarious. I'll watch it every once in a while. I never dug in and was just like, I'm going to watch Tommy Boy all day today. Star Wars, I do that even now.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch every Star Wars today.
Dude,
now I do that
dude,
still.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm just going to have a fucking Star Wars marathon, man.
Right.
When 1, 2, and 3 came out, I actually went to a theater, and it was an all-day event. We watched 1, it was when 3 came out, the third one. We watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 consecutively over the course of an entire day with like 30-minute intermediate periods,
Right, that was fast.
Dude, and it was, absolutely.
All right, while we're on that topic, I want to bring up something that just, every time I mention this one, people don't even believe me because it's so outrageous. We've got to talk about The Wizard of Oz, all right? The Scarecrow has a gun now. He has a freaking, revolver, and he's, all flashing it around. What? First of all, that would have been something I would have remembered as a kid. Because, I just like you, we were boys. Guns, cool. Guns are cool. I would have remembered the Scarecrow having any kind of weapon, Like, I remember the Lion having an axe, no, it was more like a hammer. It was like a big mallet. And then I remember the Tin Man. He had the axe. And the Scarecrow had nothing. He had nothing. But now he has a gun. He's waving it around. He's
got a gun. Dude, this is ridiculous. You're telling me that if I go and watch The Wizard of Oz right now, the Scarecrow has a gun.
Yeah. He does, and it's going to totally screw with your mind because you're going to be watching the scenes that he pulls the gun out, and it changes the whole dynamic of the movie.
Dude, hold on. Look, you don't even have to edit this. Just pause for 1 second. I'm going to go ask my girlfriend if she remembers that.
All right,
give me 1 second. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Nate, you there?
Yeah. What'd she say?
I'm back. Hold on, man. So the Scarecrow has a gun.
Yes.
Okay. So I just asked my girlfriend.
Okay.
And my 2 roommates.
Okay.
They all immediately said no.
Right.
He didn't have any courage. He didn't have a weapon.
Right.
I said no. He had a gun, and they all called me crazy. All 3 of them.
Yep. And that's the way I felt too. You can actually. It's so popular now that you can just go to YouTube and just type in Scarecrow with the gun, and there's people who's just put those scenes up for you to watch, because several times he gets it out. It's ridiculous. And then, you know, the other problem with The Wizard of Oz, there's another Mandela effect, is the classic line of the witch sending out her little monkey warriors, or whatever they were, and she says,
"Fly, my pretties, fly." I remember.
Yeah, fly, my pretties, fly. Yeah. Well, that didn't happen anymore. Now she just says, fly, fly, fly.
Bullshit.
No, my pretties. Like, I remember her saying, my pretties. Like, come on, that's what she said. It's ridiculous. Why are you messing with my childhood? Why?
Dude, it's just one after another, man. Dude, another one that rings close to home, man, is my mom was a huge Anne Rice fan. And because of that, I am a huge Anne Rice fan, man. And I remember reading I read Memnoch the Devil, Interview with the Vampire Lestat, The Vampire Ahmad, Queen of the Damned, Tale of the Body Snatchers, all of them. I read all of them, man. And I remember watching, my mom actually let me watch, I was young when it came out, but she let me watch Interview with the Vampire, excuse me.
the correct now in this dimension.
Interview with the Vampire.
Right. The Vampire.
Which is ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous, man.
And real quick, I want to throw this one out there while I'm thinking of it, okay? Because that one messes with me. But, I was not a huge Anne Rice fan. I'm going to admit it. I really wasn't. I remember that movie. I liked the movie a lot. But if you go to Google and you start typing it in, interview with, it's going to automatically pop up a vampire. Because that's what the majority of people remember. I don't think I've met anybody actually that remembers it the way it is now yet. That just kind of proves it. Like, that's what people remember.
It's weird how some of these things seem to affect small groups. I wouldn't say small because they're not small by any means. Thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. And then there's some things that seem to affect everyone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's different levels.
Right.
And that's my biggest issue is I don't understand why there's so many different levels to this. I think that there are several decent theories on why this is happening. Nate, are you familiar with any?
I'm familiar with a bunch, yeah. If you don't mind, though, let's skim through all these first, because I want to make sure that the listeners get hit right in, I want it to hit them right at home.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure we've hit all the listeners at home yet. We got to make sure, like, we covered the ones that hit me at home pretty much. There's more that bother me, but Star Wars and Bernstein Bears and everything. But so let's try to go through them and list every single one we possibly can think of, at least to date, before more things change. And then we're going to go through multiple theories.
I guess you're right. That's probably the best way, because there's still tons that'll just blow people's mind.
Yeah, now let's talk about Snow White. Mirror, mirror on the wall, okay? Everybody remembers that. Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Right.
Who's the fairest of them all? Okay. Never said that. Now it is magic mirror on the wall.
Magic mirror on the wall.
Magic mirror on the wall.
Wow.
Yep. So come on, man. Everybody remembers mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? And
it wasn't just mirror, mirror on the wall that changed. So now it's magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all?
Oh, wow. Didn't realize that. Okay, so it's changed twice in that one. Because I remember who's the fairest of them all. So now it's who's the fairest one of all.
Of all.
Now, I can see that I might have messed that up. I'm going to admit. But I know I didn't mess up magic mirror. If it would have been if she would have called it magic mirror, I would remember it as that, because as a kid, it's a magic mirror. That's what you would remember,
Mm-hmm.
This one affects, I don't know if you've seen this one yet, Eric. You're kind of, I know you don't probably sit around and study human anatomy or anything like that, but I feel like most people are going to remember what I remember. Okay, so the human skull. Apparently, the human skull has changed. This might be why I get headaches sometimes, because there's another freaking bone behind my eyeball. I remember skulls, you could look through the socket. You could look through it. There was darkness, like you could see through it. And, like, if somebody wanted to get to your brain, they could stab you through the eyeball and get to your brain. That's how I remember it. Like, that's what I remember. Now there's a big bone there in the back that there's no hole. It's a bone. like you'd have to pull up like a human skull or something and look at it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Like there's not like a gaping black hole in the socket on the eyes anymore.
I actually I don't remember that. Yeah, I remember that. I remember what I'm seeing right now.
You do remember this the bone in the back?
Yeah, the only way to get to the brain would be through the nose.
See, I remember people saying you could get through the eye. Now, and they still use that in zombie flicks, but
well, it's a thin bone.
Okay.
The back of the octal socket.
So it'd still be, and I'm not gonna lie, I could be mistaken on that because I'm an artist, and sometimes the way you draw things isn't necessarily the way that they really are. And it could be that for a lot of people that have that, or just imagery from art that they remember.
Right, right.
So that one can be explained.
Most people have seen images of skulls or artist depictions of skulls more times than actual skulls.
Exactly. Well, I would hope so.
I've seen a good deal of both.
Okay.
And,
I lied to you earlier, Eric, when we were kind of discussing some of the Mandela stuff. I got there's just so many of these that I got it confused. Earlier we were talking about the J.C. Penney change.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's not that it's J.C. Penney's now. It's J.C. Penney, but most people remember it being spelled like penny, like a penny, the currency penny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's not. It's penny, Penney now.
What?
Yeah, bizarre. I definitely remember it just being J.C. Penney, and it was penny.
Holy
I know.
Shit, dude! My girlfriend just scared the fuck out of me. I'm like so in tune to what we're talking about. I just like happened to glance to my right, and she was just standing there, all creepy, like staring at me.
Well, hopefully the Mandela Effect didn't make her have like Wolverine claws. Because you never know. You could just wake up one day and she have adamantium claws, and they've always been like that. Now, while I'm talking about JCPenney real quick, I just want to throw out there that there's a lot of new ones lately that are popping up, and a lot of them are like, I'm kind of making this up because I don't remember which ones they're saying because I didn't pay much attention. I'll explain why. But there's a lot of new ones popping up that's like, hey, I could have sworn it'll be a restaurant. It'll be like, I thought it was called Carrabba's. I could have sworn, and it is called Carrabba's, but I'm just using it as an
I was
example.
just about to say, don't tell me Carrabba's has changed.
No, it hasn't. I'm just using it as an example because I can't remember the real ones. But these are a lot of new ones, and people are really just looking too hard sometimes so they can be like, oh, I found a new Mandela Effect, But
Right.
It's usually restaurants, and there's a lot of new ones, and it's that they thought there was an S at the end, okay?
Yeah.
And some of them, apparently, there's not. I'm not going to put too much stock into those. The reason why is we're going to call a restaurant, no matter what it's called, we're going to put an S on it. One of them was Jimmy John's. Okay, it's not Jimmy John's. It's just Jimmy John. Okay, but we're going to do that with the restaurants. Domino's. Unless the name is something bizarre, like we're not going to probably call it Pizza Huts,
Right.
But it's just because it's a restaurant, and restaurants typically are somebody's name, or something like that, and we're just saying that it's
Something that you can pluralize easily. Yeah.
right, and we're going to pluralize it, and we're just going to, that's just natural to do for our language and the way that we talk about those things. So I feel like those are silly, and those are kind of new ones that are popping up everywhere. But here's one, because I have done a lot of research on this man. Anybody that likes history, definitely, even if you don't like history, you're going to be able to visualize his face really quickly, and that would be Hitler. His eye color, in my opinion, has changed. I remember always talking about he was a dark-haired, brown-eyed guy, looking and wanting to murder anybody that wasn't blonde-headed, blue-eyed. Well,
Right.
he has blue eyes now.
Really?
Yeah, and that kind of struck me pretty hard because I've said that so many times in my life and researched that whole horrible thing that happened so many times. He has blue eyes. They're very blue.
No kidding, huh?
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying. I believe I was taught that in school.
Yeah, I could have sworn I was too. I know I've definitely taught other people that. Okay, so Sally Fields, which, by the way, there's two Mandela effects with her as well. First of all, it's not Sally Fields. It's Sally Field. No S. But once again, don't want to get into the S's too much. But she had won, I think it was a Grammy. She was up there in this very popular line. you like me, you really like me. Do you remember that? Like, you like me, you really like me.
I don't even know who that is.
Okay, well, if you've seen her, you would know who she is. She's still in a lot of movies. But that was a big thing. You like me, you really like me. Well, she didn't say that. If you watch it now, her exact words were, you like me right now, you really like me. And that's been quoted a lot, just because of the enthusiasm when she got it, and she was like crying.
Yeah, Sally Field, the mom from Mrs. Doubtfire, right?
Yeah, there you go. That's her. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was her big role that you remember.
Was it Mrs. Doubtfire or was it Miss Doubtfire? We know what it is today. What will it be tomorrow?
Hey, when I was a kid, MRS, right, Mrs.
Mm-hmm.
I pronounced that until I was in high school, Misseris.
Misseris.
And nobody corrected me, dude. I made it to high school. I was calling all of my teachers Misseris. That's embarrassing, but
they thought you were just being funny.
Chuck E. Cheese, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, not right. It's Chuck E. Cheese's. That don't sound good. And I know I'm not getting into the S's, but that's one. There's too many S's going on here. Okay,
what?
Chuck E. Cheese's.
Jesus Christ! How far does this go, Chuck E. Cheese's.
Chuck E. Cheese's. That's just all kinds of wrong to me.
Oh my God, we're going to Chuck E. Cheese, dude.
Yeah, I don't remember hey, let's go to Chuck E. Cheese's.
Right.
And I know I said I wasn't going to get into restaurants, but that one's a little different. It was Chuck E. Cheese. It was just Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, it was Chuck E. Cheese, man. Everybody. God, dude, that's weird.
I Love Lucy. Desi Arnaz.
Mm-hmm.
Arnez. Arnaz. No, it's now Desi Arnaz. Arnaz. The E, once again, is changed to an A. Something with E's and A's swapping here. I don't know. It was Desi Arnaz. I don't know what else to say. It was.
That's weird. Is it even pronounced different?
Yeah, it is. It's not Arnaz. It's Arnaz.
Golly.
Did you watch Mr. Rogers when you were a kid?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Rogers, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be mine? Won't you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Right?
Oh, yeah. Not the case, huh?
Not the case. It was, and if you listen to it, if you just, pull it up and listen to it, it's all kinds of wrong when you hear it now, because it says it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. And it's very well pronounced. It's not like he, just kind of blew through, it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, real quick and kind of blend it. It's very pronounced. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. No. Not your neighborhood. It wasn't this neighborhood. That's kind of being a jerk, That's being a jerk. It's nice here, mine, but...
That's right, yeah. But, this ain't the project, so...
Right. Go across those railroad tracks into the hood, and I don't know. Might not be so beautiful over there.
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
One of my best friends named his daughter Clarice because he likes that movie so much. If I were to call him right now, put our friendship on the line, "Hello, Clarice," being in the movie, he would do it without a doubt. He would say, "Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. If I'm wrong, then we'll never be friends again. We'll never talk." We would never talk because that's not the line in the movie.
Yeah, he never says that at all. It never happens.
Wow.
Yeah, it is, because that was, it's a big deal. He was a spooky, creepy character.
God. It's one of the most iconic movies.
Yeah, and his character is very iconic. That guy, every time he plays any other part, all you can think of is this cannibal, Hannibal Lecter.
That's the one. That's the one. Nate, give me 2 seconds. I'm actually about to call that friend. Oh, nothing, man. We're just eating dinner. I'm actually doing a podcast right now, and I wanted to call you guys. I wanted you to be part of this, just right off the top of your head. Is there any line in the movie Silence of the Lamb that stands out to you?
Oh, yeah. Hello, Clarice.
Hello, Clarice. Is that okay? Okay. Yeah. So,
only because I've heard that 95 times.
You've heard it 95 million times because it's what you think's in the movie, right? You think that that line's not even in the movie. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
Let me talk to your husband.
That's how it's movie.
He never says it. Let me talk to your husband real quick. What's up, bro? Love you. Long time no talk.
Yeah, what's up, dude?
Really, I'm here to ask you one question, and I'll call you later and explain it all to you. But Silence of the Lambs, one line that stands out to you. What line would that be? Hello, Clarice. That's it, right? That line's not even in the movie. You know that, right?
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not. I swear to God. Look it up right now. That line is nowhere's in the movie, dude. Nowhere's in the movie. It's not a real, I swear to God, it's not even in the movie. Look, I'm in the middle of a podcast right now. I'll call you guys back in probably like an hour or something if y'all are awake. It's not. I swear to God, it's not in the movie. I swear on everything that I love, man. All right, bye.
So just for the audience there, he didn't even believe it. You know, this is a guy who that's his thing. You know, like that's his movie.
He named his daughter Clarice.
Right. I'm sure that they watch it on on like a timeline. Like we haven't seen it in a week. We got to watch it again. So, you know what I mean? Like this guy wouldn't. He didn't believe you.
No.
He didn't believe you.
Neither him or his wife.
The Mona Lisa, okay? This one, as soon as I found it out, actually, I contacted you first, Eric.
I remember the call.
Because the Mona Lisa, I mean, I was always big into art. That was always my main thing. I really didn't care about any other subject, but I cared about the history of art. I cared about just art, everything. And the Mona Lisa, as famous as it is and as iconic as it is, I remember specific sessions where that's all we talked about, okay? And there's a lot of theories on the Mona Lisa, blah, blah, blah. I could do an hour and a half just talking about this painting. I've looked at it for so many times, like it's ridiculous. But anyway, the Mona Lisa, she had like kind of an emotionless, kind of just not very happy, not sad, just stern, kind of like a stern look on her face. And that was, when I was young, a topic of debate was her actual facial expression. And I even remember talks of you could look at the painting from different angles and it would kind of change her facial expression, and whether that was on purpose or, there's all kinds of stuff with that. But now she is smiling. Didn't that used to be a joke? Like, there would be the Mona Lisa would be in the background, and somebody said something funny, and she would like, Didn't that used to be like a joke?
Yeah.
Now she is doing it for real. Like, that's what she's doing. Huh. She's smirking. She's smiling.
God, I know, man. It's wild, dude. It's just funny. I'm Googling pictures of Mona Lisa. There's some good stuff on here. You got, let's see, who is this? That's Marilyn Manson as the Mona Lisa. Kim Kardashian as the Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa with duck face. But yeah, I remember the same thing you remember, man. It was maybe a smirk at best.
Right. Now, there's a big curl there on her lip. She's definitely smiling,
Yeah.
I meant to mention this earlier, so I'm gonna throw it in real quick about I Love Lucy, because there is another one. A classic thing that Desi Arnaz used to say was, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. Never said that. My mom's a huge I Love Lucy fan, so my grandparents loved it as well. I watched it a lot. I remember him saying that, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. She always got into trouble, and he was come home from work, and, oh, Lucy, you got some splaining to do, like.
Yeah.
So, once again, that's just what this is all about, is just things that have changed. A lot of people remember the double stuff Oreos used to actually be spelled out double stuff, S-T-U-F-F. It's just one F now. I'm not sure. I don't eat Oreos, so I don't know.
Yeah. I think another ringer for me would be the Sinbad Genie movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were too old for that or not, but I
remember.
Specifically remember that.
I do too.
People say that we're confusing it with a movie that Shaq was in called Kazam.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say they don't remember the movie, the name of the movie that Sinbad was in. And I do. And it was called Shazam. People could say that that's me confusing it with the movie. I know Shaquille O'Neal. I'm from Louisiana. I'm a tremendous LSU fan. I followed Shaq my entire life. And I would remember if that's the movie that I was thinking of, and it is definitely not.
Yeah, and the other explanation I've heard for that is that in the show All That on Nickelodeon, which was kind of like an SNL for kids, that he played the Sinbad played a father, and he dressed like a genie.
That's not it at all.
Yeah, it's still wrong. There's something wrong, I agree. There's just something wrong. I can't put my finger on it. Now, here's one. The JFK assassination in Dallas. So, obviously, we're conspiracy theorists. JFK assassination, pretty big deal. Watched that reel many times. Well, from what I remember was there used to be a theory, and I never personally believed this, but I remember looking into it, was that the driver shot Kennedy. There is a point where he kind of looks like he does possibly have a gun in his hand, and he does look back with his hand up and, whatever. Well, that theory's gone because it can't even exist anymore, because instead of it being the driver, passenger in the front, and then in the back seat you have Kennedy and his wife, instead of that, now there's a row in between of them of two people. So there's 3 rows in the car now instead of just 2.
There's no way, dude. There's no way.
And the problem with that is that at the JFK Museum, you can go and check out a replica of that car, and it's not 3 rows, it's only 2. And there's a video they play at the JFK Museum where it's like it's not the real video, it's a reenactment. It's like kind of crappy CGI, but in that it's a 2-row car. So it's almost like there's some leftover, like some leftover.
Some lag.
Right. Some lag in the glitch there.
That's definitely interesting. That's pretty wild. I'm not gonna lie.
You probably, a little snack during my late night research would be Cheez-Its. Cheez-Its, that's a good little snack.
Oh, love them.
Well,
they're so addicting.
It's not Cheez-Its. It's Cheez-It. It's just Cheez-It.
Well, see, I could see that.
Yeah, like I said before, the S's, we would have called them that,
Yeah, because you don't ever just eat a Cheez-It. Nobody eats a singular Cheez-It. You eat a handful of fucking Cheez-Its, right?
Right, yeah, you stuff them in your mouth.
That's it.
You drop some down your shirt,
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Okay, well, here's a name change that isn't an S, okay? This one, oh my gosh. I remember seeing it, like, I'm going to buy this brand, picking it up and being like, oh, they changed the name. No, they didn't change the name. It's always been this way. Oscar Mayer, which has a song, all right, that would help people remember how it's spelled, okay? Oscar Mayer, OSCARMEYER. Oscar Mayer.
Right.
Well, now it's Oscar Mayer. It's MAYER.
Dude, this is just wild, man.
Yeah, and it's interesting all these E's changing to A's.
Yeah.
The 3rd time we ran into that so far.
It's subtle, but it's very obvious.
The Volvo logo. This one, I work in the car industry, so I probably noticed this not long after it changed, to be honest. But Volvo, it just says Volvo. It's got a little circle behind it, basically.
Yeah.
Now it's not a circle. Now it's the Mel symbol, with the arrow pointing up.
Really?
Yeah, and I remember noticing that in the shop working on a Volvo. And I was like, I never noticed that the Volvo was a Mel logo.
I swear to God, dude, did not know that still.
Yeah.
That's great. Now I'm going to see it everywhere as I look.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another one while we're on the topic of cars, the Ford logo. I 100% believe it has changed. It used to just be the little F, kind of cursive, you know.
Right.
But the bottom part of the bar going across to make it an F, it was just a line, you know. It had a little bend to it or whatever, but it was a line.
Right.
Well, now if you pull up the Ford logo, it's got a little piggy tail on it. Before, you know, going towards the O, it's a little piggy tail, just a little whoop.
I'm looking at it right now. I don't remember that either.
Yeah, that's weird too.
I own a Ford.
Yeah. Now
wild.
I gotta talk about this because a lot of people are affected by this. I gotta say, I remember it being the way that it is, but Fruit Loops. People remember fruit being spelled out F-R-U-I-T, and they remember when they think it switched, and now it's just F-R, green and purple Fruit Loops, you know, O-O-T. That's what I remember. I'm sorry. I remember it being the colors, you know, and being the action. That's how I remember it.
Yeah, I never ate it, man.
That's what I remember. I mean, I like Fruit Loops. I still do. It's not my favorite, but I can't get on board with that one. I don't remember. There's a couple more real quick I'm going to throw out there. The Monopoly Man. Do you know about this one, Eric?
Oh, yeah, the monocle.
Yeah, his monocle's gone. I remember the little chain kind of flying back because he's running with his bags of money. Doesn't exist.
I remember it too.
We got, let's see. I mean, there's even land masses that people believe have changed. Like Cuba's larger than what people remember. What's the other one? That Russia's larger? No, I'm sorry. That China is a lot larger.
That you could chalk that up to the distortion of the maps for whatever reason.
Yeah, definitely. Vicks Vapor Rub.
Yeah, Vicks Vapor Rub.
Yeah, it's Vicks Vapo Rub.
Vapo?
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. When will the madness stop?
Yeah, Marilyn Monroe's birthmark has changed. I believe that 100%. And she's thinner now. It used to be Marilyn Monroe was kind of, you know, for that, you know...
Voluptuous, yeah.
Voluptuous, well, she's not anymore. I mean, she's super skinny now. The famous statue of Moses, he has horns now.
No, stop it, dude. I gotta look this up.
Yeah. That famous statue of him. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I think so. Let's see.
It looks like a Roman type.
Holy hell.
Yeah, creepy, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of people freaking out about it, though. Chick-fil-A, I'm sorry, but I certainly remember it being like Chic-fil-A, like CHIC-FIL-A. It's Chick, C-H-I-C-K now. Jiffy Peanut Butter.
That's a weird one.
Yeah, Jiffy Peanut Butter doesn't even exist. I mean, there's Jif, J-I-F, but there's no such thing as Jiffy. That's weird. I swear there was a Jiffy.
That's so crazy.
The one you mentioned earlier, Febreze, that one's, what the heck, man? It was Febreze, it wasn't Febreze.
I know.
Oh, here's a good one. The famous quote that I've seen used in so many things, if you build it, they will come. It's if you build it, he will come. Who the hell is he? It's creepy now, like... Before they used it in ways like, you know, you build a good stadium, you know, they will come, you know.
Right.
If you build a really good program and release it to the world, they'll come. They'll use it, you know.
Isn't that from a movie, too? Like, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah. Let's see. That's from Dreams, Field of Dreams, or is that what it's called? Yeah, Field of Dreams, that's it. Yeah, Field of Dreams, that's what's from. Famous line from that movie. If you build it, they will come. Now it's if you build it, he will come. That's scary. Who are you talking about? You know?
That's wild, man.
Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. Well, that's not what he said. He said life was like a box of chocolates.
Oh, God.
I feel like that just kind of changes the meaning of it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
The song I'm a Barbie Girl in a Barbie World. I'm a Barbie Girl in the Barbie World.
Dude, that's... The further we go, man, it's just the crazier it gets. I mean, I wouldn't say the crazier, but each one is just...
Now, this one affected me last year. Okay, Thanksgiving. On the 3rd Thursday of November. That's what I thought, anyway.
Thanksgiving, yeah, right?
Yeah, it's not. It's on the 4th Thursday of November.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Sure is.
Holy hell. You gotta be kidding me.
Here's another one that hit me close to home that I can't believe I forgot to mention earlier. The Xbox logo. I was huge on the original Xbox. I thought it was so cool because it was just so powerful for its time, the original Xbox. And then when the 360 came out, online gaming was just full-blown awesome on it. That was, I'm a Sony PlayStation fan now, but 360 time, didn't care about the PS3. It was all about the Xbox 360.
Right.
I know that logo, okay? I know the Xbox logo. This is a recent change. The B has a tail pointing towards the X. That wasn't there.
I gotta look this up because I was a huge Xbox player myself. Xbox 360, let's see. Xbox.
Yeah, the B has a tail pointing towards the X.
I don't remember that either.
Yep, and it's printed on all of them. Even my old 360, I dug it out. It's on there. Jaws, the movie Jaws. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah, I think we're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah, you're going to need a bigger boat now.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
Why would he... You're in it with him. Y'all are going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah, we will need it. You're right there. You're standing on it, like Cool Whip and Ready Whip.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember it spelled whip like W-H-I-P.
W-H-I-P, yeah.
It's not. It's W-I-P.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
These are just crazy.
A lot of people remember Tony the Tiger having a black nose. I'm not sure, to be honest. He has a blue nose. I don't know about that one. And Folgers Coffee. F-O-L-D-G-E-R-S. That's what I definitely remember. I'm a coffee drinker. I remember Folgers. It's just F-O-L-G-E-R-S now.
God.
Mickey Mouse. This one changes something so epic to me. Mickey Mouse. Here's the thing, okay? He doesn't have suspenders, okay? I remember just being like, oh, the new Mickey doesn't have suspenders. That looks old school. They took them off. No big deal. Never put a lot of thought into it. But that original Mickey Mouse, Steamboat Willie, the black and white one where he's on the boat, he's whistling and, all that stuff. There was a part where he was holding his suspenders, and as he pulled them, it would pull his whole body back and forth as he was whistling. That scene doesn't even happen now because he doesn't have suspenders. It changed the whole scene.
That's crazy.
There's also another movie where the ending got completely ruined by Mandela Effect. It's a James Bond movie. It's like a futuristic James Bond movie. It's an earlier one. And there's a female character. She has braces, and one of the villains from the movie, he has these just plated teeth that are metallic. Is the best way I know how to describe it. And he and her, I don't remember the plot perfectly, but they get in a little accident. I think it might be a train. And when they get out, the females and him, at the end, part of the ending, they look at each other like they survived this, and they look at each other, and she's got this complex because of her braces or whatever. He smiles for the first time, and she sees his teeth, that they're plated metallic, and she smiles, and she has metallic teeth, and it's like a bonding moment. They're friends, they can get through this kind of thing, right? Which is silly. It's one of the worst Bond movies, by the way. But
It's not
silly.
Sean Connery, yeah?
No, not Sean Connery. But they, or maybe it is. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a huge Bond fan. But now, that female actor doesn't have braces. The scene makes no sense anymore. Like, it doesn't, now they're just like, oh, we smiled at each other. Like, there used to be it's stupid, but there was a little bit of thinking behind that scene. And now there's not. Her braces are gone. She just has beautiful white teeth. So the scene was ruined, Skechers, the shoe brand Skechers. A lot of people remember it being Sketchers. T's gone.
The Looney Tunes one kind of gets me too, man. I remember it being Looney Tunes with 2 O's.
Yeah, me too. Looney.
Yeah.
Looney and then Toon-y, cartoons, Toon.
Right.
Now it's like tunes, like music. So that's really weird. Like, I thought that was where cartoon came from, was Looney Tunes. I thought that's where that word, like, cartoon came from, Looney Tunes. I thought that's how that word came to be. Like, I'm watching some tunes. You know? No. It's weird.
Scarlet, Febreze. 2 E's? Z-E? Is it Febreze or Febreze? Febreze is another one. That's weird, man.
Yeah, that one is weird, and that one hits me a little home too, because heck, man, when I first got to high school, I didn't do laundry. I squirted Febreze on.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, I thought that was like I thought that's why that existed. Like, no need to do laundry anymore, man.
Right.
Just spray this on there, and the load is done.
Exactly. Until Taco Bell falls out the burrito on the pants, just put some Febreze on it. You're good. What? I'm not going to a laundromat. What, you think I'm rich?
Right.
That's like that classic. Going to college. Just got out of high school. Febreze, man. That was my
starter
stuff.
pack. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I don't need a toothbrush. I need a bottle of Listerine. I don't need a washer or dryer. I just need a bottle of Febreze. That's it.
And you know what else you need? You know what else you need during those poor days, of just got out of high school and all that? You need a cup of noodles.
Oh, man. Yeah.
You need a cup of noodles, right?
That's a staple in any college kid's diet. Shit.
Well, guys, it's not cup of noodles no more. Now it's just cup noodles.
Cup noodles.
Cup noodles. That's it. Not cup of noodles, not cup of noodles. Just cup noodles. That's what it is now.
This is wild, man. Look, and you know how I am. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and there's a bunch of great theories out there that somewhat explain what could be going on. Do you want to talk about some of those, man? Because I feel like we need to.
Yeah, I think we've covered enough, and if we think of more as we're going, we can talk about them. But yeah, let's go ahead. We've done a lot. We've done at least 25, I would say. So yeah, let's talk about some theories. You go ahead and you start first. What you at this point in time believe could be appropriate.
Man, my own personal beliefs, things that I've kind of come to on my own, just thinking about it, is it could be tons of different things, man. One that I feel like I've kind of I could put my own stamp on. I'm big into history, and I'm big into the idea of reincarnation, and I'm also big into the idea of parallel universes.
Right.
And my thing is, maybe when you die, you basically just kind of step into a role at some point along the timeline in a parallel universe, where things maybe are just occurring slightly different than where they were in the last universe that you were in. So, something that I like to think about is maybe have we died and we're just picking up in a parallel universe, where things are just slightly different than what we remember.
Well, let me ask you this, okay? Because I'm gonna, I like to juice up your theories a little bit. So let's say what you just said is accurate, and that's exactly what's happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have we, in your opinion, okay, based on your perspective, have we slipped into a better? Because wouldn't, reincarnation, you would either go into a better or a worse situation. Is that right or not?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on what philosophical stance point you're looking at.
Okay.
I feel like most religions believe that especially like Buddhism, it's a direct result of how you were living your last life. So,
right.
If you're a piece of shit, you're going to come back as a dung beetle.
Right. I'm going to come back as a maggot.
But I don't necessarily believe that it works that way. I'm sure that there is that possibility, but I think that there are infinite parallel universes that are all slight variations of each other, off on literally into infinity. They just keep. I mean, every decision you make, there's a parallel universe where you made the opposite decision.
Right, like a tree with branches, and it's
Right.
just constantly creating more stems off of itself.
That's it. It's just forever fractaling out into infinity. And I think that it. I don't know what could cause us to jump from one to the other, but maybe death is one of those events. And I've had a few near-death experiences, and this is a topic for another conversation. But any one of those events, I could have died in, and just I don't remember the death, but I just woke up in a peril.
It just continued on from that moment where you did die, but your consciousness had shifted to another dimension, or the closest dimension to where you were. Right. I got a couple of things to say about that. First, I want to throw, because of that theory, there's a lot of using that as the basis for Mandela. There's a couple of directions people go just on that theory. One is that I read recently is that our as in me and you and everybody else who feels like these things have changed and are kind of in agreement on it, that our universe or our dimension was actually destroyed.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And we were just kind of brought here like travelers, and that's why there's so many of us, because that whole thing is gone now. So we all shifted here. That's a very popular one. But anyway, that's a good theory. I like that one. It's fun to think about. It's fun to explore. And it has some scientific backing, the multiverse. So I like that one. There's another one that I like this one just because it's fun. Once again, I mentioned it in an earlier episode. I don't necessarily believe in time travel. However, if time travel had happened, okay, if it had happened, if the government had projects that sure does seem like they did, at least try to time travel, if they had sent somebody back at any point in history, would there be a butterfly effect that would just randomly change some things?
Or would it be, certain people changing things for their own personal gain?
Sure, but
it makes me think about Hot Tub Time Machine. Do you remember the movie?
Yeah.
And it's a silly example, but at the same time, like whatever his name was, the character that decided to stay in the past, when they get back to the future, everything that they knew had changed. Google, what was his name? I can't remember his name. Give me a second. But he was the lead singer of a major band.
Right.
The character that stayed in the past, his name was Lou, and and the rest of the guys got back to their normal point in time. Lou had changed several different things. Lou had changed. He had started the company Google, but only instead of Google, it was called Lugal. And he was like the lead singer of some major hair band. I forget who it was, like Guns N' Roses. Like it was Lou Rose instead of Axl Rose. No, that's what it was. It was Motley Lou.
That's what it was.
Instead of Motley Crue. Yeah. And so I think time travel. I think that's a very real possibility. I really do. I think it's a very real possibility. I mean, the government has been, dipping their fingers in time travel for a long time now.
Yeah, and it's definitely would be in their interest to do that.
Absolutely.
Now, the confusing part about that, once again, is how would that actually work as far as our consciousness? If we'd already lived something like the Bernstein Bears, for example, we've already lived that, and then they didn't go back in time like, we got to change the name of the author, and so that it changes the Bernstein Bears to Bernstein. We got to stop Hitler. It's not like that, but like that was just it was an effect of something they did go back and do.
Right.
And would our consciousness remember before they changed it, or would our consciousness change since they changed something in the past where we would have always remembered as Bernstein? You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So that's a little confusing, but it's a possibility,
Right. Absolutely.
And another one I like that is a fairly recent theory. We are now officially doing quantum computing. There's a process we have operational quantum computers now, for a fact. So a process of the quantum process, it was worded terribly, but a part of it is there's information that the best way to describe it in layman terms would be once the data, it literally leaves this dimension and travels through another dimension and then back into this dimension, and it gives it this awesome speed. You know what I mean? Like, at the rate that microchips were going, if we weren't to do quantum computing, if it was just like it is and just the speed rate that things are going, which is already fast, it would have taken us, I believe I read, 25 years for it to be as fast as quantum computing is now, because it's just once that data goes into this kind of unknown realm and then comes back into this reality, it's gained so much speed and it's almost like I don't even know how to describe it, like an ultimate cloud, not even stored, or it's just extra dimensional, basically. And
right.
Since we don't understand what this other plane of existence truly is that we're using now for quantum computing, we're messing with something we don't understand. You got to think of, and this isn't how it works, I understand, but all right, if you were a worm, okay? If you're a worm and you're funneling through the dirt, okay, to make the worm's making its hole through the dirt, and as it's going through, it's pushing this dirt out of the way, okay? So, to a small degree, not a large degree, but to a small degree, the earth around that hole has become more compact because he's made a hole and he's pushed the dirt that was there outwards. Right. So this data from the quantum computers, as it's making a tunnel of data and processes through this realm we don't understand, it's pushing what used to exist there out of the way, and it's causing things to change. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's I love that theory because number one, we don't know what we're doing. We just know that it works.
No, yeah, exactly. We don't know what the repercussions are until it's too late.
Right, and there's repercussions to everything, to some degree. Tapping a table with your fingernail, making a tapping sound, just to a small degree, you broke the table. You know what I mean? Like, sure, the table shouldn't fall apart, but if you were to do that long enough, it would.
Right.
So everything has an effect, and it could be. I mean, the Mandela Effect kind of did start happening after we started messing with quantum physics and testing it, Yeah. CERN, I mean, they're doing some that's its own thing, but CERN is doing some creepy extra-dimensional things. They used to not admit it, but now they do. Now they admit that they're pulling, what do they call it, antimatter, which would be the opposite of matter. Well, please explain to me, what is the opposite of matter?
I don't think they even know.
Yeah, they don't. I'm sure. Well, they probably have theories, So, the opposite of matter, in my opinion, would mean another dimension.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not solid. It's not a molecule. It can't be measured in atoms. It's
the opposite of everything we know.
Right, it's the opposite of physical. So, you know what I mean? What does it mean?
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that could be connected because, is that about around the time when we started dabbling in that? It's hard to measure because we don't know when they started dabbling in it because they don't tell us when they start things,
Mm-hmm.
They tell us when they're ready to tell us.
Right. That's it. if they're ever ready to tell us.
Right, if they ever do.
If they ever deem us worthy of telling, which by today's standard, it'll never happen.
Any other theories that you can think of that might possibly explain this?
I mean, you can go into holodecks or basically something along the lines of we're currently living in the Matrix, which honestly makes a lot of sense to me. And I think there's a lot of people, big people, that are looking into that theory, and it's really not that far of a stretch of the imagination to get to, really. Right. Within the next 20 years, we'll be able to produce sentient computer simulations. So basically create characters in a computer simulation that believe that they are actually living,
They can question their existence, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. With artificial intelligence and at the rate at which we're progressing. Yeah, without a doubt. So if we have the capability of doing that, and let's just say a far cry, that we'll just say that the next 100 years, if we have the capability of doing that, is it unrealistic to think that another race or civilization or whatever you want to call it, ET, has maybe done that to us, and that we're currently living inside of a computer simulation, and that these are just literally glitches?
And that we don't even truly exist besides the program that created us?
That's it. And that's a rabbit hole that I've gone very far down, and I don't think we have enough time to talk about it. But
well, I will say this about that theory: if it's a situation where it's like a massive multiplayer online game, let's say, okay, if that's the situation, it's not just like a Sims where you just got people everywhere. If it's more like a massive multiplayer online game where, in this case, billions of people are playing this game, let's say, okay, then I would like to just do a little shout out real quick to the person holding the controller for me. What's going on, man? What am I, your experimental character? Like, what are you doing, dude? Come on, man. Like, am I just like, where you just try out some random stupid crap?
He's normally a barbarian, but he decided to go with mage on this account just to see.
And he's not good at it. Come on.
He's not.
Get on your version of Google and learn how to play, dude.
Look. Cheat codes. Come on, man. We need infinite life, infinite money, and infinite ammo ASAP.
Yeah. So I like that theory too, and there's a lot that's gaining a lot of popularity. Since you mentioned it, I do want to mention something. Actually, last night my dad had said he'd sent me a video about that kind of thing, and he had said that in his opinion, he was like, whether you believe that we're a computer simulation type environment or not, we do live in a matrix system, and I can prove it real quickly. Regardless, you can take that theory and push it to the side if you want and not believe it at all, but we do live in a matrix type society. And what I mean by that as a fact is that we do live in a web of deception and lies through media, through mass advertisement, through every part of our life, for a fact, in my opinion, that we're just an everyday human being going through life and not trying to get the answers to anything. They're blind. They are living in a matrix. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that is a fact. There's definitely, if it's not a computer simulation, then the world governments have done a damn good job of simulating life anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's it, man. There's a whole lot of sheep out there that believe what they are told, and they get their morals and their beliefs and their sense of integrity and justice and reality from the television and from the radio, and that's it. And they never really think outside of those parameters. And the second that you introduce anything that is outside of those parameters, then that is the conspiracy.
Yeah, and a common theme I've found, typically, the kind of people who either incidentally or on purpose stumble into this big mess of knowing things and getting into conspiracies and all these different things and trying to look for answers are typically people who at least at one point in their life were on an ultimate low, like feeling like this isn't fair, there's something wrong, they're looking for answers, for personal answers.
Right.
And they incidentally or on purpose stumble upon finding out why everything's the way that it is, and that's unfortunate. But you got to figure, if life's great for you, if you were born into a lot of money, well, there's no real reason for you to understand the system or disadvantages, because you have the advantage. So it's good for you.
You have no reason to question it.
Right. And so you're not going to try to find an answer because, hey, it's good. Everything's good, And it would probably be hurtful for a person in that point in life to find out the truth, because it may change the way they continue doing
it shatters their reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like you got the guy from The Matrix, and The Matrix is awesome. I really feel like the writing in that, it blows my mind that wasn't a book. That was just a movie, because it's just, there's so much to it. Like, it's such a multi-layered story.
Yeah.
But you got the one guy that I don't remember his name, but you got the guy who turns out to be he's with the Morpheus and all of them, and he operates some of the machinery and everything, and he turns out to be a traitor. And that guy, he's sitting at a restaurant with one of the agents, and he's eating
steak.
Yeah, in the Matrix. He's back in the Matrix eating a steak, and he's like, I know this is just, you're sending electrons to my brain to tell me that this tastes delicious, but ignorance is bliss.
That's it.
And this guy wants to go back to not knowing the truth and just go back into the Matrix 100%, not knowing it's the Matrix anymore.
Wipe his memory.
Yeah, and just go back to ignorance, and he just wants to be a rich, good, easy life guy in the Matrix, so he sells out his team just to get that deal, that bargain. And there's people like that, there's people that you may try to tell them stuff like the Mandela Effects, and they don't want to hear it, They don't,
because ignorance is bliss, man. Yeah. That's it. I mean, you can't say it any better than that. Who on top of all the stress that comes with just living, who wants to add the knowledge that things aren't what they seem, and the seemingly inability to do anything about it,
Right.
That's the hardest part for me, is that I see these things, and I see them for what they are in a lot of cases, and it's just like, and that's what we're doing right now. We're doing our part. We're talking about it, trying to inform people, because I am a fan of the group consciousness theory, to where the more people that get savvy to these ideas, eventually it will spread and just become the majority understanding, kind of a collective knowledge type deal, because I believe that we all are connected in one way or another, and whatever the majority thought pattern is, it's just kind of broadcast to the masses somehow. And and that's what everyone accepts. And so we're here trying to do our part, but at the same time, It's a hard fight, man.
Yeah, it
It's a
is.
hard fight because you know these things and you see these things, and everyone, I feel like, that is on our same wavelength eventually gets to a point to where you have to ask yourself, like, what does it matter?
Right.
Because does me seeing this for what it is it going to change it? Do I have the ability to change it? You know?
Yeah, and you can get into that. That would be another theory as well, that the consciousness of humanity creates this reality.
That's it. Yep.
You know, like the theory that when no one's looking, well, atoms aren't forming there because
Right.
there's no need for it to, you know.
Right.
Which, once again, if that was how it worked and things unobserved weren't physical anymore, I mean, that kind of leans back into your previous theory of a computer program. You know, it doesn't need to process that right now, because it's...
Right, because you're not on that level yet.
Right. So all those theories are really interesting. Real quickly, I gotta say it because I can't believe I forgot it before. Curious George doesn't have a tail. That means he's not a monkey, okay, folks? Like, that means he's an ape, okay? I remember pictures of him hanging from a tree by his tail reading a book upside down. You know, like, he doesn't even have a tail anymore.
How does
He
it
never had one.
happen? How does it happen?
And
It's crazy.
even the artist was asked, why didn't you give Curious George a tail? And he said, I did. Oh, wait, I did. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't give him a tail. So,
Oh, man.
it's crazy, man. The Mandela Effect is one of the more mind-blowing, because it's so in-your-face, theories, I believe, that just...
It doesn't matter who you are. One or another will definitely hit home, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And, it's so bad that I get a little freaked out sometime, like, at my work, that I do my paperwork and everything and send it off, and that, I definitely send it off, and then I'm going to get a call like, hey, you didn't send your paperwork. And I'm like, I did too. And I look over, Mandela Effect, paperwork wasn't sent, or something. And, there's some bizarre cases out there, though. You've got the guy, and once again, he could just be lying. He could just be lying. But you got the case of the guy who swears he had 2 children. He wakes up one morning, he has no children. Wife, no children. She doesn't remember any children. His children are gone. This guy remembers his children, and they're gone.
Dude, it's mind-blowing.
So, I mean, and there's a lot of cases of weird things that I believe we'll probably get into some of them on later shows, where people have just appeared with, no reason to even be here, swear they were from other totally different times or places that never existed. There's situations like that you could chalk up to Mandela Effect. I mean, if things are being changed, then it's going to not just affect the names or the looks of characters and the things characters in movies said. It's going to, if that's what's really happening, it's going to affect bigger things as well,
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, there's got to be cases of people who their own name has changed. There's got to be. If this is legitimate, and I believe it is, then there's got to be things like that happening as well. Like, people can't even spell their own name anymore because it's changed. You got to readjust.
I'm going to wake up one day and my name's going to be Eric instead of Erik.
All right. And it's going to take you a while to get used to, signing your name with a C,
because I've always signed it with a K, yeah.
And you're going to look like you're crazy,
Yeah, oh yeah. Absolutely. And I feel like those things are just yet to come,
Right. And as we'll see, as time goes on, and there's more things that continue to pop up, and maybe as time goes on, the theories will begin to kind of consolidate. Maybe there'll be more evidence to where we can more precisely pinpoint a theory on this phenomenon.
Hopefully so.
But for now, everybody, I mean, that's what it is. There's many more. There's tons of them. There's at least over 100 examples. There's people that are dedicating all their free time to trying to find them. Sometimes it gets silly. I think we pretty much covered, at least at the time of this recording, the most widely used ones. Come on, guys, give Mickey Mouse his suspenders back. Give Curious George his tail back. This is silly. This is silly stuff. All right, well, guys, thank you once again for joining in. If you're joining us on YouTube, subscribe us, like us, leave us some comments, let us know what you think, suggestions. Don't forget, all we ask is that you open your ears, open your mind, and allow us to open the curtains of conspiracy. My name is Nathan Gibson.
And I'm Erik Zimmerman.
We'll see you next time.
You have been lied to. Your history has been altered. Your brainwaves have been tampered with. You have been indoctrinated. You always knew something was wrong. The truth will set you free. Buckle up. Strap on your tinfoil hat. Open your ears. Open your mind. Open the curtains of conspiracy. 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 Conspiracy.